Hey guys, it's Chris, the PDX Picker, taking you along today on showing you some things that sold recently. And I thought I also would show you how I pack and ship these items. So some of you that are new to the reselling world on eBay maybe will find some tips and tricks on here that might help you out in your business. So follow along with me as we pick some items and pack them up and get them shipped out. All right, let's talk about what's sold and get these shipped out. So a lot of these items came from my recent trips to the Goodwill outlet. So you can see from there what sold. And then some of these other items are things that sold, or things that I purchased from online auctions and things of that nature. And even one of them is an old item that my son grew out of. So, all right. First item that we will pull is something that I find to be crazy. I don't understand this situation. So I went to the Goodwill outlets recently and I was in the book section and I found myself an old script from the Roseanne TV show. So you can see, maybe, hopefully it says Roseanne on there. So these, I've seen them on eBay before, and most of them, there's companies out there, I don't know if all of you know this, there's companies out there that will actually reproduce and reprint scripts. So I didn't know for sure when I bought it, but I literally probably paid like 50 cents for it. So I said, why not? Let's go ahead and just buy it. So I did. And when I finally went to list it, I didn't look it up. I didn't comp it at all on when I was at Goodwill. But I was like, again, it's so cheap and it's kind of cool. I'm just going to go ahead and buy it. So I didn't comp it, but when I finally went to list it, of course I comped it. And there were something like, let's say, 80 Roseanne scripts listed, but only, I think, 2 had sold. One of which was signed, I want to say, by John Goodman. So that's obviously pretty cool. And then the other one was, I guess there was an old Gilligan's Island spoof episode they did. And supposedly this script was owned by Dawn Wells, who played Mary Ann in Gilligan's Island originally. And I don't know if she was in the episode or not, but the provenance on this item was the seller had purchased it from the estate sale of Dawn Wells. And so that one sold, but those were the only 2 that sold. So we're looking at, 50, 60, 70 other listings that hadn't sold. So when I went to sell this, which it's not signed by anybody, I don't even think it's original. I'm like, I don't want to sit on this forever. Clearly, the sell-through rate on this is garbage. So I listed it for $9.99 plus shipping. All the other ones listed out there were $15 or so, and they weren't selling. Anyway, long story long, I posted this for $9.99 plus shipping, and it sold, and I'm not kidding you, in 8 minutes. Why? I have no idea. That's just kind of the craziness, I guess, that goes on. Moral of the story is I probably undervalued this or underpriced it. But I don't know. Maybe something about this somebody was just super excited about. So that sold for $9.99 plus shipping in 8 minutes. I think that might be a record for me. All right. Next item we have that sold is a book that I purchased at the Goodwill outlet. It is a old physician in the house book from, I think, the 60s. I'll position this here. Hopefully you can see me. If not, I'll cut this out. All right. Ta-da! All right. So let's grab this in a setting that'll be brighter for you to see. So we got an old physician in the house book. I think these have been printed for a long time. I want to say maybe as far back as the 1800s, but for certain in the early 1900s. No, okay, copyright on this is 1915, so I was a little off on that. But then this version, I believe, is from 1963, because it's got a 1963 copyright on it. It's still really cool. Oh, there's a special little note in here. Let's see what this is. TMCL memo. Increase. I don't know if that was an old physician's memo or not, but anyway, bought this at the Goodwill probably for $2.29. That's the rate for hardcover books, and I sold that for, I don't know, let's take a look. What did I sell that for? $11.99 plus shipping. So not exactly a huge big money item, but you know, made $6 on it, and it was super easy to list, and it'll be super easy to ship as well. All right, so this next item is something that I purchased at an online auction site about 6 months ago. And it was a lot of old vintage die-cast cars. A big lot, like 30-ish or so items. I ended up being lazy about it, and it took me a long time to list these. So that's an issue that I have when I buy big lots like that. Is it takes a long time, of course, to research the items and take the photos and list them. The research, I think, is a big, huge time waste in that, or not waste, but it's just a time drainer. And so that caused me to wait a long time to list these. But I finally did. So this is a Tootsie toy truck, and you can see it's a car hauler. Now, if this had come with some of the cars that were originally on here, it would have been worth quite a bit more, but the condition on it is still pretty good. The trailer is in really good shape. Hardly any paint loss on it, and it's cool. It's got this this piece here where you can take this, and so the cars can drive up here, or they can be connected down there as well, and the cars drive up there. So really cool item. I listed that one, and it sold within about a day. Sold that one for $24.50 plus shipping on that. So these are things I probably spent around $4 to $5 per car. So pretty good profit on that. But I ended up lotting a big group of them together, and it's currently on auction right now. So those ones, I lotted, I think, 10 or 12 of them that weren't going to sell really well individually. By really well, I mean for more than, say, $15 each. So as of right now, I don't have any bids on it. I might not get any action on it, but it's hopefully an easy way to get rid of about half of the supply. Next item, I forgot where it was. All right. C2 Assortment C. So this is a cool find that I had in an online sale. This is an old box of Thorens music box discs. Thorens is a music box made in Switzerland. I don't know how long they've been making it, but they're old, probably 30s, 40s, 50s. I think this group was from the 50s. And what they are these metal discs that they're at kind of like records, so that when you put them on the music box will play a song based off of the little holes in there. So this one is this is called the Bluebells of Scotland. There's 10 discs in this box. I ended up getting, I want to say 6 of these boxes and the music box for around $60 or $70 total. This box here I sold for $55 plus shipping. I have 5 others that are listed. They're slow sellers, but they bring good money. So the music box, unfortunately, has some of the basically how it plays is it has different metal pieces that work as it's almost like a tiny little metal xylophone, and it plucks or I don't know how it works. Anyway, it's broken. It doesn't play all of the notes. I think there's supposed to be 32 notes and it only plays 27 because 5 of them are broken. So the music box itself might not be worth anything, and which I haven't even listed it because I don't know. I'm hoping maybe I'll be able to find a replacement music box or music piece. So anyway, that's the first one of those I've sold. So just that alone almost paid for the whole lot of them. So that was a good sale, and eventually, hopefully, I will sell the rest of them. All right, this next item, another real slow seller, but I thought it was super cool, and it doesn't take a lot to store these. So this is a Matchbox Superfast Collector's Catalog from 1970. I got 10 of these in a lot, and this is the first one I've sold. I sold it for $10 plus shipping, but it's really cool. Now, let me bring this back down here and try and show it to you. It's really cool. It's got just pictures of every no way you can see that well with the lighting. Pictures of just all the different cars that they had for sale back in 1970. And this particular grouping that I bought, basically in mint condition. So for those Matchbox collectors, I think this is a nice little addition to their collection. That's $10 plus shipping. All right, this next item was a major fail. It was a lot of Playmobil figures, vintage Playmobil figures that I bought on an auction, and I was kind of hoping there was at least 1 or 2 good ones in there. Turned out there wasn't. So I ended up just putting them all in an auction and to try and get rid of them, and I did. They sold, but for way less than what I paid for. I think I paid $7 or $8 for all of them, and they sold for $2.25 plus shipping on auction. So like I said, this was a fail that sometimes these happen, but the nice thing is I got a little bit extra room here. You can see just the grouping of Playmobil figures. There's a lot of them that are missing the hair and the hats. So I think that definitely contributed to a low interest on the auction. But one less thing to worry about. So the other thing that recently happened to me is I came on my listing limit on eBay. So new eBayers, well, everyone that sells on eBay has some sort of limit of the number of listings that they can have at any given time. Mine was 500 up until recently, and now that's total items. So let's say you have one listing that has 50 items on it, because a quantity of 50, because it's all the same thing. Well, that counts for 50 listings. So I had run up to my limit of 500, and so I ended up contacting eBay, and they were able to raise it up to 700. But just even little things like this, getting those listings off the books can help your business in a big way. So that's something to consider. eBay does it to combat fraud. The idea is that there's brand new sellers that they want to limit the number of listings they can have. I think the purpose for it, they say, is imagine there's somebody who is a scammer, and they go onto eBay and they put out 30 items to list, and then they sell them, and they keep the money, but they don't ship the item. So that's eBay's version of keeping or trying to combat fraud, is to limit the number of listings they have. I recently changed my business or my account type from an individual to a business, primarily because I forgot that I even had it under the individual status. So that's something to keep in mind too. What eBay told me when that happened is when I went from individual to business, they acted as if I had a brand new account. So they treated me, even though I've been an eBay member for 12 plus years and been selling for 7 or 8 years, but selling a lot in the last couple of years, they still treated me like a brand new seller. So thankfully I was able to chat with somebody, and they got me at least bumped up to 700 total listings, which was really helpful. Last item that sold. This was an item that used to be my son's. He was a big fan of Pokemon, and so this was it's a Pokemon Pikachu robe, kid's robe, and he outgrew it, so I thought, hey, why not? That didn't sound good. So you can see this is a Pikachu robe, Pokemon Pikachu robe, size 6 kids, that I ended up selling for $11.70 plus shipping. So, all right, those are the items that sold for me in the last day. So I am going to now take you through the process of how I get these ready to ship. All right, so let's go over how to ship some of these items. I'm gonna just ship it or show you how I ship a few of these to give you a basic idea. These are just ways that different tips and tricks and things that I've picked up from watching other eBayers out there and how they do it. So some of these are gonna work for you, some of them are not. One thing that I really am lacking on is an organization system when it comes to storing boxes and things of that nature. So I have this ping pong table that I'm using as my eBay everything table right now, from listing to just storing boxes and storing things that haven't been listed yet. So nonetheless, not the best way to do it, but you got to work with what you got. So I don't really have a great storage space yet. I will hopefully soon later this year, but we're dealing with what we got. So, okay. I'm going to show you a couple of things that I think maybe will require a little bit more effort. So we'll start with this. So we'll try this out, and hopefully you guys can see some things on here and get an idea on how I do this. So of course you want to, your ultimate goal is to package something to arrive safely without any damage, but you also want to minimize weight and size to maximize the profit you'll make on it, because you just want to maximize efficiency. And depending on how you charge for shipping, some people charge flat rate for shipping, and so because of that you want to reduce the cost as much as possible. Other people go ahead and put the dimensions, the weight and the dimensions of the package, and then just let the buyer pay for the shipping. So it depends on how you do it. On these items, I went ahead and put in the dimensions ahead of time and listed it that way. So whatever the buyer paid should be really close to what the amount that I get charged on. So let's start with this. First thing I'm going to do is I want to wrap this in some bubble wrap. Now I have a very jankety bubble wrap setup here. I'm using an old PVC pipe game that we don't use anymore. I don't remember even what the game was, but it's a nice way to it's a kind of a nice way to store the bubble wrap. So lots of people have different systems that are better than this, but you can see I have the small bubble wrap here. I've got the 12-inch size and then the 6-inch size, which I don't use all that often. But and then I have the large bubble wrap down there. They usually come in 3 sizes, small, medium, and large. So this is metal. It's not something that's going to break, but it could, you know, you just want to still protect it. So I'm just going to use the small bubble wrap for this. So I will grab probably 2 sheets. Actually, I'm going to use 1 large sheet for the trailer, and then one of these small ones for the truck itself. So what I like to do here is very simple. This is probably common sense for a lot of you folks, but I just like to wrap it, and then I do put some tape around here to secure this so that it doesn't doesn't come off easily. I don't put a lot of tape on here because you don't want it to be difficult for your buyer to unwrap. So I usually just put 1 piece, maybe a couple more depending on how breakable the item is. So all right, so now literally that's good enough for keeping it safe in shipping. This item is going to be about 8 inches long, so I'm gonna actually try and use my smallest box that I have, though I think it's 7 inches long. We'll give this a shot. This is a 6 by 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. So not big enough. So that's how I kind of test it. Let's just see if I can just put it over the item. It's actually probably better this way because then I'll have a little bit more room on the edges. You don't want to necessarily put your item touching the edges of the box because that can increase the chances that it'll get damaged via, you know, when the post office or whomever throws the boxes and they land on the ground. So, all right, so I'm going to tape up this box first. And I'm going to just lay the items like that. But if I was to just close this up, you can hear they rattle, run, and move. So I'm going to want to use some filler paper, which I have this nice big roll of newsprint paper that I use. So basically, just doesn't have to be pretty. But I'm going to need probably 2 or 3 of these. So 2, 3. All right. So just want to crumple it up. Don't want to smash it too tight. And then you just want to throw those in there so that they take up all of the empty space that's in the box. Close it up. I always like to give it a jiggle, and it's not moving around at all. So I know that that is adequate when it comes to things not moving around. If at all possible, you don't want this to move around at all. Just helps with the safety of the item. So I don't put a lot of tape, just on the top and the bottom here, because this is small enough so it's nice and contained in this package here. And these, I of course buy these. You can tell I bought these from eBay. I used my 25% off quarterly coupon that eBay sends out, and bought some of these boxes. It's just nice to have these boxes on hand because I know what the size they are. I have a bunch of them, and it's just super easy. It's going to be more expensive than, of course, if you can source your boxes for free. For a big chunk of when I started out, I was using Amazon boxes to ship almost everything. You know, if you or your spouse or you know somebody that maybe has an Amazon habit that affords them to receive a lot of items from Amazon, reusing that is not only is it cheap, but it's nice to just reuse the items. I've never had a single person complain in an Amazon box or an Amazon bubble mailer. I don't think people care. At least if they did, they didn't care enough to tell me about it. So that is definitely a cheap way to start out. Of course, you have to buy a bunch of stuff on Amazon to get the things, but if you know somebody that uses Amazon a lot, you can maybe get them from them or however it works. But nowadays, for ease and just making things go quickly, I buy a lot of my boxes, almost all of them. And all right, so let's go ahead and weigh this item. This is a 90-pound scale that I bought. It's relatively small in terms of the size, but you can still put large boxes on. I just over the weekend had to ship the largest box I've ever had to. Super annoying. I regret having to do it, but I sold the item, so I had to get it shipped out. It was a piece of exercise equipment that was basically 2 feet by 2 feet. And then anyway, moral of the story is they fit on this scale. When I weighed it, it was a little over 12 pounds. So even though the scale is small, it's mighty in terms of what it can weigh. So this weighs 10 ounces, 9.9 ounces. You always want to round up when you are inputting the weight into eBay. So I use a thermal printer. See if I can get out of the way so you can kind of see it. This is the printer here. It is made by a company named Jadens. Honestly, I bought it because I bought it off of Amazon. It was quite inexpensive. I think it was $107. As thermal printers go, it was inexpensive, and the reviews on it were really good. Thermal printers are such a time saver, and in the long run, they actually do pay for themselves many times over. They're thermal printer, meaning they never use ink. They just use heat to transfer the details of the label on there, and then if you use the labels, of course, they just peel right off. So it's super fast, super easy, way better than printing them on paper, wasting the paper if you only have one label or however it works, cutting them out, taping it on. You're saving on tape, you're saving on time, you're saving on paper, you're saving on ink. Lots of ways to save. So it might be an expensive purchase up front, but it will pay off in the long run. And frankly, just the ease of use is so nice. So, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and input the details on here. So I estimated that it was 12 ounces. It's 10 ounces. So I put in the 10. It's already got the 8x6x4 dimension in there, because that's what I entered when I originally set up the listing. I'm saving it. All right, so shipping service, buyer selected, USPS first class package. Any item that is 16 ounces or under, assuming it's not too large, any item that is 16 ounces or under can be mailed first class via USPS, which will almost always be the cheapest method. You can see here when you hit this edit button, whoops, not that one, this one, then you can see different, so we have USPS first class 481, there's lots of different options. If this was eligible to send media mail, it could go that, but this isn't because it's not media. There's UPS ground, there's UPS or USPS priority mail, all the different options on here. And generally, you're almost always going to want to choose the cheapest one when it comes to items under 16 ounces. So I'm going to save this, and then this is how I print my items with my thermal printer. So I purchased the shipping label. The buyer paid $6.35 for this. So of the retail rates, that's how much they charge. So you can see already I made $1.50-ish of gross profit off of the postage. I'm going to end up having to cut that because the personal details of the buyer were on there. But let's see if I can do that again. So all right, now I'm going to, okay, so I'm going to not show the details of the buyer on here, but you can see this is how I printed on mine. I save the label. I've got my shipping app that I use with Jadens. So this is specific to this thermal printer. I'm connected to the printer now. It's a Wi-Fi connection. I edit the label to fill up the whole screen, and then I just hit print. You can see it prints right there. Nice and easy. So we will then literally just peel this off and attach it, and that is it. So way quicker than if you had to print it out on paper and cut it and then tape it. But again, there's a cost that's associated with it. Next thing I'll do is I'll just show you one more item, and it's going to be this book, Physician in the House. Now this can go media mail because it's a book. Things like everything from books and newspapers, books are very frequently easily sent media mail. Movies like DVDs, VCR tapes, any type of movie media will almost always be able to be sent media mail. There's a big list. It's best to go to the USPS website and see what can be sent media mail. A lot of things that cannot be sent are anything with advertisements in it. So magazines, no go. Video games, can't send them. But another thing that can be sent, which I sell a lot of I have a lot of player piano rolls listed. Those can't be sent media mail. CDs, records, cassettes, those are all media that can be sent media mail. So, all right, so now we are going to ship this book, this item that can go media mail. So the media mail rates are a lot cheaper than regular, certainly much cheaper than priority mail. And so a lot of people sometimes, or the post office, I think, is afraid of people taking advantage of the lower rates. So from what I understand from talking to some folks that work for the post office, they will audit these packages every now and then by opening them up, checking the contents, and adjusting the rate if necessary. It's not books or CDs or anything of that, but you paid a media mail rate. Well, they will then adjust the or calculate the amount of postage due and then send you a bill for the difference. So because of that, you do need to be careful that you, of course, only send things that qualify for media mail using that rate for you. So very similar to the other item, I'm going to go ahead and just wrap this around like that. And I'm going to put one piece of tape on here. And so that way it is nice and tight. Now this box is almost the exact size of the item, and for a book like this I am okay with that because books are relatively sturdy. They have some pretty decent they can hold up pretty well, especially with some bubble wrap. So I'm just going to literally slide this thing right in here. It's a very tight fit. Hopefully the person can get it out of there. I'm going to go ahead and put some paper on the top of that, even though that book is not going anywhere. Hopefully you can see that in there. Alright, so I'll go ahead and throw this into the top and tape it up, and that is that. So the important things I wanted to discuss were the restrictions on the media mail, and in terms of the types of things that you can put in the box. Well, I ran out of tape, so now I get to replace my tape. All right, back with some new tape. And the tape gun that I don't like to use, but it's just easier to change it out. So I think I'm going to put the label on top of that because that tape is jaggedy jankety. All right, so I will show you the difference in price between media mail and not, in this case, it would be priority. So you can see it weighs 2 pounds, 5 ounces. And we will go here onto the eBay app. All right. So we got 2 pounds, 5 ounces, and we have 8 by 6 by 4. Okay. So medium mail, it's $5.05. But if we were to compare it to priority mail, it would be, there is a bunch of flat rate things, so I would have to have put this in a medium, flat rate medium box. So the cheapest other option would be $14. So I mean, you can see $5.05 versus $14. It's just a no-brainer that you're gonna obviously want to send that media mail. So if you put something in there that wasn't media mail related and the post office audited it, they could charge you, actually they'd probably charge you more than that because that's not a flat rate box. So definitely something you want to keep an eye on and pay attention to when you are shipping things media mail. So all right, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you guys are interested at all, please subscribe to my content and like this video, and I would love to have you join my family that watches along with me in my eBay reselling journey. And I will continue to put out videos not only showing what has sold, I will show sourcing videos, going to the Goodwill outlet, going to estate sales, going to garage sales, and anything in between. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have a great day and take care. Bye-bye.